Hi, everyone. Thank you for watching the video. Since we announced our new cash offer program a couple weeks ago, I've gotten an overwhelming response from broker partners asking for more details on it, asking to set up meetings, even as far as brokers wanting to get signed up with us in general to take advantage of this program. So I figured this was a good opportunity to send out a video just to go over a little bit more details of this program, a little bit more highlights, just to give you a little better understanding on how it actually works. But in general, again, if you have any additional questions, if you want more details on it, I do have a ton of actual collateral, flyers, information like that. Please feel free to reach out to me directly. I'd be more than happy to provide that to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain it from a mortgage broker / loan officer perspective, just so you can understand a little bit more, just so you can easily digest it. So here's how this program works. So we have set up a partnership with a company called Own Up, and the program that they're offering is called Power Buyer. So if you have an interested buyer that finds a property, or they're out there shopping, they consistently are getting beat by cash offers, other cash offers, or whatever it is, and you want to use this program, here's how it works. Step one, you would submit a Princeton pre-commitment / TBD underwrite to us. That's a program that we've already been offering for quite some time now. We will include some additional information in this video in the comments section of our pre-commitment process, but that's step one. It would basically go through our underwriting team. We would issue a pre-commitment. It's an actual document, a letter that we could send to you that you can provide your buyer, that they can go out there and just increase their buying power that way. Then step two is they would go directly to this third party. So they would go directly to Own Up and submit an application for Power Buyer. So this third party would then look at the property in question that your buyer is very interested in, and they would run it through some different AVM models. They would use different metrics and things like that, and they would basically say, okay, we are willing to offer you X amount of money via a cash offer. So for example purposes, let's say $500,000. They actually do issue you a letter that then, again, you could take back to the real estate agents, back to the seller of the property that you're interested in, and say, hey, look, I actually do have a cash offer. Perfect world, this plays out how everyone wants it to play out. The seller accepts that cash offer. Once a purchase agreement is signed between the buyer and the seller, then there's a separate contract that's developed and signed between this third-party company, Own Up, and your buyer. There's a bunch of details in there. I actually do have an example of that contract. If you are interested in reading that, I'd be more than happy to send it out. Please just feel free to reach out. So once that contract is signed, and once the contract is accepted by the seller, then you actually take your buyer back through obtaining standard financing through Princeton Wholesale. So while everything is mapped out, while you agree to the terms of the contract, you're taking your buyer back through Princeton Wholesale so they can obtain standard financing. So here's where different details come in, and also in terms of fee structure. So right when that contract is signed between Power Buyer and your buyer submits a 3% deposit into an escrow account with this third-party company. So let's say you send that borrower back through Princeton Wholesale, and then they obtain standard financing with Princeton Wholesale prior to closing. If that's the case, Power Buyer will only keep 1% of that initial escrow deposit and refund the remaining 2% to your buyer. Let's say a different option. Let's say you take that borrower back to obtain standard financing, but it's not through Princeton Wholesale. It's through a different lender. Power Buyer will only refund your buyer 1% of that initial 3% deposit. So if you come back through Princeton Wholesale, obtain a loan, your buyer only pays 1%. If you go to a different lender, your buyer ends up paying 2%. Option number three, let's say that your buyer is actually not able to obtain any standard financing prior to closing. For example, let's say the seller wants to close in 10 days, right? Well, that's a very tight turn time to obtain a standard mortgage loan. Power Buyer will still purchase the property from the seller in cash, and then after the fact, they will give your buyer an option to either rent the property back from them and to also actually buy the property back from them after the fact within the next 6 months. In that case, Power Buyer does keep the full 3% deposit, but they're still giving your buyer an opportunity to still live in the property through renting and to actually purchase the property after the fact. So that's a general overview. There are more specific details. Again, like I mentioned, feel free to reach out. I have a bunch of flyers, a bunch of information I'd be more than happy to share. And I'd also love to connect with you over the phone to have a conversation and help answer your questions that way. Hope this helps. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day.